Hello and welcome back to the Camp Check Podcast, everybody. Today is our third episode, and we are starting off today talking about what does the first month of EQL looked like. And we've got our illustrious crew in front of us here. We've got Classic, we've got Slayheim, and Sigil back again for a fun episode, just talking about EQL. We appreciate all the support you guys have shown us in the last two episodes. It's been fantastic, and interacting with you has been good. We appreciate your opinions. Even if you don't agree with us, we're okay with that. So thanks for hanging out. Thanks for watching, and we hope you can enjoy the third one. So let's get rocking and rolling here. Anything from you guys you want to start, mention, talk about, say anything before we kick right into our questions here? Anything that's on the top of your mind you'd love to say before we get going?
I think I'm good to go.
Sounds
Yeah,
good.
I'm ready to start.
Okay. All right. Well, obviously, like we said, we're talking about EQL today, as we have in the last couple episodes. It's the hot and new thing. We're enjoying it. We've been spending a lot of time there. I'm sure a lot of you have been spending a lot of time there. So let's discuss some of the things that we've seen in the first month of EQL, some of our experiences in the first month, and of course, in the comments, please share some of the things, in response to the questions you see here. We'd love to hear what you've got to say of your experience of the first month. So let's get our first kind of topic question up here on the screen. Okay. How do you feel the launch went overall? And we're talking about overall in the game, not just specifically your experience with it, but how do you feel that the launch went for Game John? How did it go for all of the players across all the servers? Did you hear anything? What did you think? What did you feel? I'd love to hear it.
I actually thought it went surprisingly well. Usually when we saw a lot of people interested in this game, right? Even a lot of people who aren't normal, haven't been playing MMORPGs for the last 25 plus years. They were people that were coming back who'd been away for a long time and saw EverQuest Legends and thought, hey, I want to jump back in. I mean, we see those comments all the time in our videos and other places that we're talking that, hey, I haven't touched an MMORPG in decades, but with that number of people coming in and kind of the overall kind of small production of the game was, I thought they did a really good job of handling the initial rush. There were some some queues and stuff, but I was able to get in and play. And I know there's always some issues here and there. I think there were some instance creation issues and some things like that, but I thought they did a pretty good job. I actually felt like the launch of the pre-order beta was worse than the launch of the the live game. But I kind of had my head down playing the game and being busy with other things. So maybe you guys saw differently. And I can really only speak for the Hallis server because that's my first days were only on the Hallis server, and I had a really good time.
Yeah. Yeah, I agree. I mean, I think it went really well from what I saw. I didn't have any issues. I heard some people were talking about certain servers like Neriac and Rivervale had a lot of issues. And I think we had some slight personal instance issues in the beginning, but for me it was absolutely a dream launch. I didn't have any lag or really any issues. Got a chance to link up with my buddies on day one, so that was really nice. And yeah, the world was just alive, people asking questions. It was great. I didn't really notice anything. So I think it was a success. Yeah, from what I could see.
It was great. I've been a part of a lot of TLP launches, EverQuest related, and then New World and other games. And it was great. They had a good amount of servers. The servers still to this day are high pop, so they picked a good number. I think they did their homework with their pre-orders and everything on that. Those are good. I did hear it looked like there was only issues with Freeport as being the largest server and Rivervale, I think the second largest. They did have some instancing issues like you mentioned. But that only lasted, I think, maybe 8 to 10 hours or so, which is actually kind of a long time, I guess. But they got that wrapped up pretty quickly and then just moved on. I haven't heard of any issues since. And then to Sigil's point of the instancing issues back in beta, I don't remember which beta it was, but I think that was a good idea to put limits on the charges, because I think before they didn't have limits on charges, and then people were just making so many instances that it was crazy. And then so I think that's why we have limits, I think. Anyways, great launch. I loved it. Had no issues from me, of course, on the Hallis server.
Yeah, I'm just gonna echo. I mean, you guys kind of said everything, but I'm just gonna echo it in that I felt, from my perspective, it all was good. I didn't see major issues other than like you mentioned, Classic and Slay about the 2 servers that were having some issues with spinning up personal instances, which they shut off overnight until they could restart it the next day. But on House, we didn't experience that, and I just went hard. I know we were all going hard pretty much right out the gate, and I had no trouble playing the entire time. And it was a lot of fun. The one thing I think Sigil said is it felt so alive. Yeah, it was like, especially in the start where nobody had any charges that first hour, because it was like you had to wait for the first charge. And I was
Yeah.
like, wait a minute, none of us can spin up a personal instance. And so there was like a million people in every zone, which was kind of cool. You know, it was a little tough because we were fighting for some spawns and stuff. You'd find a corner and just like hold it for a while, but it was still, the excitement was there. And then once you hit that hour, like you had your charge and you could go, you know. So overall, I think it went pretty good. I'd love to hear from Game John as to what they think how it went, honestly. You know, because they get to see the
Yeah.
backside and they're scrambling, and we saw none of that. So I would say overall it was a tremendous launch. I have to say I went into it fairly pessimistic, which is unlike me. I'm fairly optimistic for most of these things, but I went in pretty pessimistic, thinking, it's going to be kind of a nightmare. There's going to be way more people jumping in here than we think, but they handled it really well. So kudos to Game John on that one.
Definitely shout out to
Yeah.
Game John. I was also a little worried.
Yeah.
I was pessimistic, but not in like a I hate them kind of way, or that I was like thinking they were going to do poorly. It's just that, man, I've been through a lot of MMO launches. I've played almost everything that's come like down the road since the beginning, and every launch is terrible, like you just expect it. And then if you look at like a long road map of, or the long record of something like World of Warcraft, every major patch is terrible, right? It's like something breaks, there's too many people, and we've been watching like what is the biggest player in the space have this problem for over 20 years now. So very surprising. So I think the pessimism was warranted to some extent, that hey, this is going to be a tough first couple days at least.
All right, very good.
I guess just real quick, so I guess Classic, it wasn't as bad as Quarm launch, right? Where you were camping one skeleton spawn for a while with everybody coming through.
Yeah, that was pretty bad. That first hour did feel like an actual launch of a fresh classic MMO. That first hour, like Skeletane said, but it wasn't anywhere near as bad as camping one spawn. Yeah.
It was fun to see all the giants again, right? Because since the giants have all, like, everything's a placeholder, as everybody low level was killing all the low level stuff, we ended up with like 30 giants in the zone. That
in
was
West Common Lands. Yeah, there was so many.
Right.
It's pretty wild. All right, well, so that's kind of our overall experience. Let's look at like our personal launch experience now, so we get to talk about a little bit what we each of us did. And the first thing I wanted to cover was, what trio did you end up starting with? What was your? I mean, we did talk about this in last episode. We said, hey, what trio are you planning on going with? And I guess this is the follow up to that. What did you actually end up going with? And yeah, there you go. So let's start with one of you guys and talk about it.
I stayed with. Oh, go ahead.
I guess for me, just real quick, I started with my warrior, shaman, berserker, and I've just kind of committed to it. It's the only trio that I really want to play. I'm kind of obsessed with it. And pretty much just went to Befallen as soon as I could. I just messed around for a little bit and tried to gain a couple levels so I was strong enough to poke my head into Befallen. And then from there, yeah, I mean, pretty much met up with Classic, met up with Decius. Razman showed up for a little bit, and we were just steamrolling it there. And I stayed until I felt really good, and then I popped over to. Oh wait, yeah. So that was really good. How far are we going here? All the way to 50, or just our trio?
Not yet.
Okay. I was about to give you guys the full story, but yeah, it was great. Sorry, Classic. Please go ahead.
No, not at all, man. I too went the trio I planned on, which was Necro, Bard, Monk. Love it. Still love it. Was planning on doing that in the last show. I talked about it. I did it. I did, take it to 50, and no regrets. No regrets. It was interesting. It's not the strongest, but knew that going in. But it's a very fun play style, and I enjoy it.
Yeah, I did slightly differently than you guys. I did do what I said I was going to do, but only because I didn't do what I said I was going to do. I had said in the last episode that I really wanted to do Bard as a main class, and I did do that, but that I was looking at Paladin, Monk, Bard as my go-to trio. I think that's what I said last time, but I did a last minute change at the selection screen while I was making the character and decided to go Bard, Ranger, Necro. So actually very similar to a classic pick, but Ranger in there instead of the Monk. And mostly because I just have never really played Ranger or Necromancer much at all in EverQuest. I've dabbled with pretty much every class, but just never really put much time into those. So I thought, hell with it. I'll just take that up to 50 the first time. If it's terrible or it's bad, I'll just swap out to something else. So, but it was, yeah, like you said, classic. It's not the strongest thing, but it's very interesting. It actually made me play differently than I normally play, which was a lot of fun. Having said that, I'm now leveling up Paladin, Monk, Bard also because that was what I said I would pick originally.
I think you said that in the last one, Sigil, that you may change your mind at the selection screen.
I said I might get to the selection screen and change my mind because I know that's what I do sometimes. So I was hedging my bets that I would probably end up doing that. So there we go.
Nice. Well, I stuck with exactly what I said. I mean, I was waffling originally my goal was to do Paladin, Shaman, Monk, but then after they did that kind of, hey, here's the launch patch, and they talked about SK getting boosted, I was like, oh, let's go that. So I stuck with that and went the Shadow Knight, Shaman, and Monk. Absolutely loved it. Felt like a powerhouse, especially with those harm touch changes, huge harm touch changes that made the class feel incredible. And then Spellblade. I ran Spellblade offensive stance the entire time when playing it, and it was excellent. So I know there's a lot of people who go, I just stick with the inversion, but I really enjoyed the Spellblade. It was just like, I guess it felt like a proc build. It was just like proc. Everything was popping off. And then we'll talk about 50 in a minute, but yeah, it was a lot of fun. So I'm glad I stuck with it. I'm glad I chose it. I was a little unsure about it, and now I'm completely sold. Fantastic. So
they just keep buffing the SKs, don't they? They gave him the the new life tap dealie, which is really nice.
I
as
know,
well.
So good.
Sigil, can I ask? Have you had very much experience with your newer Monk now? And what do you think about Ranger versus Monk? If you could say something about that.
So one thing I'll say is I didn't have a lot of one of the things I was envisioning is that I could kind of pump up the Necromancer pet to kind of tank for me while I kind of stayed back and shot arrows if I got all the the right setup, the best that we can with our current AAs and stuff for the Ranger. And it didn't really play out that way. So I usually could get away with it for a couple of shots. And I don't want to get too deep into what I did at 50, but my Necromancer pet is level 10 pet. So he could hold it for a while, and he definitely had the health and the ability to stay in the fight, but I'd always end up pulling threat off. So I'd end up meleeing. And I think the Monk, and this may not be true, I don't have numbers to back up what I'm about to say, but in my experience, every time I've played the Monk in EverQuest Legends so far, and I've done it a couple times, like it feels stronger in melee than anything else to me. And that might actually be the truth. But I know Ranger, people say it parses very well. It gets triple attack. It gets the things that you would want, but it just doesn't feel as strong as me to Monk. And it lacks, if you want to do bigger pulls, it doesn't have like any AoE ability for like the Monk does, where you can kind of, with the round kick, you can kind of slowly work down these groups of mobs if you pull, however many you want to pull. But I think it hits up to 8 or 4 or whatever it is. I don't know. But if you pull that many mobs, you can work them down. Whereas the Ranger, it's really like this one. You have to go through each of them. It did fine. Like the melee was still very strong. I found probably the Necro ends up being a heavy damage dealer in that trio for me. So if I had to pick one of those two, I think I would go with the Monk over the Ranger in this case, unless we can get to where you can full-time range. That would be pretty neat.
Oh yeah.
Cool.
Well, since we're all getting there, let's tackle it now. So we've all pretty much admitted in one way or another we've reached 50. So instead of just asking if you're 50, what was your path to 50? I'd like to hear about it.
Well,
Yeah.
I just talked, so one of you go.
Yeah, so yeah, I got very eager there. So yeah, my path to 50 was befallen, just kind of stuck with what's nice and familiar. Then I went to Najina. It was my first time there, and actually, so I hadn't seen the revamp at all, so that was really cool, and it was just kind of fun going through that dungeon, kind of learning it, you know. Then ultimately, I did Guk. Then once I got strong enough to do the planes, I did that. So yeah, I mean that was basically my path to 50. I enjoyed it. I enjoyed my trio. I would maybe do things a little bit differently because you guys touched on it. SK just feels like super powerful. A lot of my sort of warrior berserker synergy wasn't as beautiful as I imagined it would be. I mean, it still works. It's great. Like I'm really enjoying it, but yeah, maybe I'll do things a little differently. But that was my path to 50.
I shamefully took the highway as it is, I guess now, which is I just followed the gear. Followed the gear. So, I did the whole ogre switch thing, and then I went to Befallen, jumped over to Najina, and basically, if I remember, I did a little unrest in intermittent, and then I went to Guk, and stopped off at the hole and went to finished off dinging level 50 in Nagy's lair. But it was great touching back on the monk. In beta, when the last beta, the pre-order beta ended, I was doing the same trio, except for instead of monk, I was doing a beast lord. And I had my reasons for that. But what I had figured out in beta is that they weren't very strong, in my opinion, at least for my trio. And there was some overlap with the necro as well, so maybe that was part of it. And I decided to switch to monk. And then what I figured out with monk in this actual playthrough is that, like Sigil said, they are so strong. They're so strong when it comes to melee. They are so strong. So I like warrior a lot as well. I think warriors are a little bit slept on, but
Yeah.
but anyways, yeah. So the monk was great. I had a ton of fun with the monk, and as part of the trio. But that was my leveling through, picking up the gear along the way, and it felt good. It felt really good. I enjoyed it.
Nice. Sigil, I'll go let you go last this time. I like classic. Kind of did my highway. I had a planned highway. I had a way I was going to run because I was bent on being efficient. Like, how am I going to get to 50 quick? And of course, I chronicled like classic. We chronicled that run through our videos. So if y'all want to see our runs, we pretty much documented the whole thing on YouTube. But I started out, right where everyone else did, and I got I would say one of the highlights of my run was actually from like 1 to 5 in the Ferrat. Watching bears murder every newbie in that zone was killing me, and I don't know, I enjoyed it. I enjoyed watching that. Just that whole starting out moment of like, no one is strong. And like we said, when we go into West Common Lands, at one point I showed in my video, I think my Befallen video, of like the whole zone is giants, and it's just like because nobody can kill them yet. And I found that to be a very entertaining part of of that early experience of being like, "That's right, there's nobody out here to handle all this," and it was very entertaining to me. But anyway, back to the run. So I did the usual. I went to Befallen. I chased the gear. I hit Najina. Wanted to get a few pieces of gear in there, not really do the whole thing. And then I did do Crushbone as a side because I heard there was some gear there. I'm glad I did because there was some excellent gear that I wore all the way to 50 in Crushbone. Specifically, that helm of Crush was fantastic. And then pivoted over to Mistmore, spent a bunch of time there until I think it was Guk time. So Mistmore and then the Guk, and then Classic and I leveled a bunch in Guk for, my gosh, I don't know how many hours we spent together there, just grinding hard, doing the rotation between Frenzy up to Hop Door and back down again. And then it was time for Nagy's lair because that's what I liked. I always like to finish that off at the imps. I think the imps are a nice, easy kill. They're not very few casters. They're rogues. You just in the warrior and rogues there, it's easy. So that's how I finished my run out, getting to 50. But yeah, that was my experience.
Marsh bears were hilarious
Oh my gosh!
on
Yeah.
your episode 1.
Yeah, they're like the hill giants of of the
Oh
Firat.
yeah, it
Because
was.
there were just so many spawning, everybody's just getting run over by him. I think there were so many scenes where you're like, well, there's a bear. Oh, there's another bear.
Yeah,
Oh, third bear.
yeah.
It's really funny.
It was good time.
Yeah, it was good stuff. I didn't do I did things a little bit differently, but not too far off. So I started off. I did the ogre switch as well. Made my way out to Sister's Island, made some money, and swapped in half elf and wood elf. But I'll comment on that real quick. Is the half elf swap in? I just wanted to get bard as my primary with the ogre. That was the whole goal. But that half elf swap in actually ended up being like super useful throughout my travels because I jumped around a bit on the map, and the half elf has like 8 different origin spots you can set. So you can be like East Freeport, West Freeport. Yeah, you could like set all of Freeport, all of Kinos. You can go to Greater Feydark. Like it's all over the place. So you can just switch to half elf and origin to the other continent, and then just run to Unrest or wherever you want to go. So it was super cool that like that turned out that way. That wasn't even an expectation I had. I just wanted to be an ogre bard and be the big guy singing the songs, and
Wish I
it
thought of
turned
that.
out to be pretty neat. But I started out, yeah, I did the Firat for a little bit, went to Sister's Isle, and then I went over to Befallen also. So I'm not original in that sense at all. I stayed there. I did 10 to 25 there. Then went over to Najina. I think I'm just following what Slayheim did. I hadn't seen the new Najina rework yet, so I stayed in there for a while to 30 something, and then I went over at 30. I think I went over to Split Paw because I hadn't been in there since they revamped it either. And then I just ended up doing this like jump in and out of Split Paw. I stayed in Split Paw for a few levels, and then it felt slow, so I went to Kazakh Thule for a few levels, back to Split Paw, Lower Guck, back to Split Paw, and then ended in Nagafen's Lair. So I kind of did this jump in and out of Split Paw thing because there's kind of like groupings of mobs that are in these level ranges that I wanted to go back and fight again. So, but yeah, it was a pretty fun path. And since I jumped around a bit, it was neat to have the half elf to help me help me get to where I was going.
I also needed to buy, unless you guys know, let me know. I needed to use the wood elf to buy some stuff in Freeport, to buy like certain like reagents, like gemstones and stuff for the casting of like mage pets and different things like that throughout, like right now. I can't find that in new Cebalus.
Oh, you know what? That might have been the same experience I had. Like when we started 1 to 10. I did that mage run, and I had to buy, what was it, the Malachite, and I ran all the way to Grob to buy Malachite,
Mm.
and then someone was like, the adventuring merchant sells it. I'm like, oh, I just wasted all that time. Right. That my old EQ brain didn't have that experience. Like I was just like, oh yeah, you got to go find the vendor who sells it. There's no adventuring merchant in Project 99 or in
Right.
Quarm. So that was a bit of a, oh shoot. But yeah, I'm always learning something new. But
Yeah, the other thing with the half elf is if I set it to Greater Feydark, it would bring me right into the Bard's Guild, so I could buy my spells there, and then just run two or three ramps over to the Rangers Guild and buy my spells there too. So it's also an easier way to get my spells. Just jump over to the
that's
Feydark and then
creative.
just come back across. So yeah,
I
it was
like that.
neat.
Nice. Well, that we all got our path to 50. I like that we all kind of had some crossovers, of course, in doing that, but then we had some different ways. I'd like to hear that you went through Split Paw Sigil. I didn't end up doing Split Paw till the second trio, but I'll talk about that later. I have my opinions on Split Paw. So let's get to the next question here, which is what end game content are you now engaging with and doing at 50? Now that you're 50, are you doing it, or did you just bail and go to another trio? What'd you do once you reached the pinnacle?
I guess I'll take this one first because I want to hear what you guys have to say. You went a lot more in depth, but for me, I just kind of really focused on my trio, and I spent a considerable amount of Sky. Actually, last night I finally got my item, so I've been in Sky pretty much the whole time trying to get my Berserker weapon. But that was really fun, just kind of going through the islands. I actually really like it a lot. And also just kind of challenging myself and kind of my combo, is it good enough to do D4 of everything, of all the end game content? That's kind of what I've been doing week by week, and just getting my modes and just kind of slowly, just upgrading my gear that I want to hold on to. So that's what I've been doing. I'm curious. I wanted to ask you guys, just if we have time here, did you like all the dungeon revamps and all the stuff? Did that affect you later on in the end game, or were you happy just to kind of gain some levels and or did you go after some of those items that they added? I know they have some really cool like blood siphon stuff for necros and shadow
Oh yeah,
knights, but
I personally I
that's what I
did.
did.
Yeah, I went after some
Yeah,
of
I
those
went back
items.
for it.
Definitely. There were some good things I thought in some of the revamps that were worth taking on, either for an exaltation. I always take a quick, even though I didn't say this, but I made sure to take a quick stopover in Blackborough to get that shrink shoulder. That was like really wanted to
Yeah.
have that. I mean, I knew as a shaman I was going to get shrink, but I don't want that on my bar. So give me the right
Yeah.
click effect, right? Um,
Yeah.
I
Just
love
nice
those kind
quality
of
of
things.
life stuff like that. It's very
Yeah,
convenient.
yeah.
And
So
you'll have it for all your other trios or whatever as well.
exactly. So I definitely took stopovers just to be like, let me go get this, let me get that. I'm glad I did a stopover in Crushbone to get a few items that I ran all the way to 50 with. They were good. So 2 items actually.
Yeah.
I did with the recent update to Miss More, I did go in there because I run a monk in my main, and there's like one good proc for your fist, and it's a quest that's like incredibly hard to do because you got to get like King's Orb to spawn, and I tried. It's been time consuming. I haven't been able to do it. And then if you do get him to spawn, he's got to drop it, which is a whole nother thing. So I was working on that and it just wasn't happening. So then they came out with the live steal proc, which in my opinion is even better because my AAs play into that. So they crit. And then I'm running like a sustained build without a typical traditional heal. And so that's just adds to my life tap, life leech kind of setup. So I did go back and do that. I guess I'll transition into the end game content that I'm doing is I don't know where else I might say this, so I'll say it here, I guess. But yeah, I've been doing D4 solo stuff and then grouping with the boys as well. I know we like to get together after a server reset of the week and do some D4 stuff, and been been fun challenging myself with the current build, trying to overcome all the different bosses and raid targets and gods and everything on D4 with the build. And I was able to do that. And now it's more or less, kind of hang out with the boys on reset day and get some of the fat loots because, as you know, like the first kill of the week, you get the full loot table. And then in the the other days of the week, just trying to farm up some moats and stuff because it feels like everybody needs a ton of moats, and moats and AAs are kind of the end game after you've raided for a few weeks and kind of gotten your base items.
It's been really fun to do that with you guys and just see each week how much stronger you've gotten and all the cool gear you've gotten. It's really cool to just kind of assemble and go through that together.
Yeah, I unfortunately missed this past week getting in with all the boys to do the to do the kills, but I'll make it this coming week and be back in the game with everybody. I think in the last episode I talked about that I knew I would be behind everybody else on leveling just because I knew how much stuff I had going on with just work and just other life things. And that played out to be very true. So it took a lot longer to make 50 than everyone else. So I haven't been in the end game for super, it's probably only been a week. Yeah, something about a week that I've been in the end game. So what I've been doing is just trying to get geared up mostly, and also at the same time starting to level some other classes. Like I really wanted to get. I didn't start out getting wizard or druid or anything up a little bit to get those ports, and I really wanted those wizard ports. So I did that, got a wizard up to 23, and then just kind of like I talked about working on the paladin monk and stuff too. So I've been kind of doing the lustrous russet farm in hate a little bit, doing killing the bosses when I can to try to get a little extra loot. Interestingly, I haven't killed Inaruk at all yet. I've done everything else, but I have not done any at all because you guys did it on Tuesday and I wasn't able to join. And then I keep thinking, oh, I need to run over there and at least do D0, and I just haven't gotten to it yet this week. So yeah, I'm still very, very fresh to the gearing up at 50 at this point and having a lot of fun with it. I haven't even set foot in Sky, by the way, Slay. I know you spent a lot of time there. I've been watching your streams and stuff, and seeing all of you guys spend time in Sky. Poor Foul Rash spent more time than any other human in Sky, but I'm getting there. Like I said, I was going to be a bit behind, and I am a bit behind everybody else, but it's okay. I mean, it's not like our characters are getting deleted. It's not like we have a cutoff time, right? There's plenty of time. So
Exactly. That's what I was gonna say. It's here to stay. It's beautiful.
right.
You can go at your own pace, and that's really the dream, you know?
Yeah, so I haven't felt rushed at all, not like I did during beta, and that's actually good because, like I said, I've had a lot going on. I'm really looking forward to it. There's still a lot of things to explore. I'll get to go through Sky after they put in some bad luck protection and other things that you guys didn't get to enjoy. So I thank you all for taking that hit for me, so I could have a better future experience.
Yeah, it's only gonna
appreciate
get
your
better.
sacrifice. Yeah, so I think still really looking forward to it. Still a lot of things I want to do. And this is one of those games that, like you said in the beginning, Classic, like, or maybe you said it before we started recording, but really, I feel like it's one of those games I want to do all the things. Like I want to unlock everything. I want to get all the achievements. 100% this game until the next thing comes out. And there's still a ton of stuff to do. I'm very excited about all of it.
I have to comment, Sigil. That feels like the most dangerous thing to say of an MMO is I'm going to complete everything.
So you can say it when it's new, right? Like if you went into like
Right.
WoW right now and said, I'm going to complete everything, I'd be like, no, you won't.
No.
I wouldn't even give you the benefit of the doubt that you could do it. I'd just say no. If you haven't been chasing it for 20 years trying to finish it, you're not going to finish it. But
Right.
we have a finite number of AAs and a finite number of we're at the beginning here. Now,
Right.
in a few years, when this has been a couple expansions come out, like that's a different type of situation. But right now, I feel like you could 100% it, right, and be caught up. So
Right.
but definitely a dangerous thing to say, for sure.
Well, I've just same thing with the boys here. What have I been doing at the end? It's the same. I've been running the raids with the boys where I can. We even do basically Tuesday nights. We all get together with the Clickbait boys and we just run the hard D4s that are more difficult for us to run ourselves. And we had some guys with us that weren't even 50 yet, and we were kind of like carrying them through and helping them get some stuff, and that was a lot of fun. Push them to 50. But I think this past week we had like an all 50s group, so we were rocking this week. It was pretty good. I'm Sigil. I want to give you some incentive to kill Inaruk, and that is go do the agnostic deity quest. That will push you to do any. So I would say go to Oasis, talk to the guy there, get that quest, and then you'll go kill him on D0, giving you something else to do.
If I want 100%, I got to go do it, right? So.
Right. But it's nice when there's a task attached to it. So.
Yep. Absolutely.
But I've actually been the one, kind of like you, Sigil. I haven't really done Sky much. I was doing all sorts of other things. I went into Sky a couple times. I think once with the boys, maybe once a couple times solo just to do it. And then I remember Classic was farming like crazy, getting his monk fists, and I was like, yeah, I'm not doing that right now. And then Falrash went wild, and I was kind of like living vicariously through him as he did that. So I was like, I think I'll just not do this right now. And I ended up spending a lot of my time on doing like guides and getting content prepped for that. It's like I did the Tord Corruptor guide, which was a huge hit to everybody. And I'm so glad people loved that. So that was such a fun, exciting quest to do because to me, nobody knows or has heard of it, which I don't know if you're living under a rock, but the Tord Corruptor which is cool, is a brand new item in EverQuest. I mean, how cool is that? You've got these, not only we know we have revamped gear from the dungeons, but this was like a epic level type piece of equipment, a almost BIS, item that they added into the game, and it was hidden, and it was wonderful that we had some brainy guys who figured it out and shared it with the community, and we all went after it. So that was a lot of fun. I really enjoyed doing that. Once I got to 50, was chasing that kind of stuff. So that's all I've been doing is like chasing little things, like not little things, but specific grinds. Like when Classic came out with his Russet guide, I jumped on that immediately and was farming that for, my gosh, night after night. That's all I was doing. And like all my Russets like +7 now. Right. And I enjoyed that because I was getting AAs. I was getting the gear. it was a lot of fun. So yeah, just doing the raids, solo raids together, little farms, but haven't done Sky yet. Looks like I'll be taking advantage of the changes like you, Sigil, later and being able to do that a little faster. So, but yeah, that's been my experience so far. But
That
And
turret
I will say,
corruptor is an absolutely beautiful weapon, by the way. You
yes,
noticed
yes.
me, like, I try to show it off every chance I get. I would try to get you perfectly in the frame on my
yeah,
stream
I know.
just to really show it. And then people come in and ask questions. They're like, "Wow, what is this sword?" It truly is amazing, and I love that we have that in this game. Custom content that we would have never got to see. And by the way, I'm just curious, what is better than that sword if that isn't best in slot?
The Sky Shadow Knight weapon, for
Okay.
me in particular. Now, there are some other weapons and other classes that are that are better, but I'm looking at it from a Shadow Knight perspective, and the SK two-hander is better than the Torrid.
Ah,
But but the Torrid has some other great benefits. It's got this unrighteous bash effect, which is amazing, in that you bash automatically like every 6 seconds, and you can't bash when you have a two-hander. You can slam,
oh,
but I can do both now.
okay.
So you get a bash, which is fantastic, and there's a little
Wow,
like a little life tap attached to it. So I've
that's
completely
amazing.
switched to using it. It's there's probably some argument made for what Classic has done, which since I have a monk in my build, I could go get those fists, and they probably would be better overall, DPS, because dual wielding the monk fist, the Woo's fist.
Mhm.
But I love the Torrid so much that I'm just sticking with it, and it's working out great. I am having no issues just melting things with it. So yeah,
Yeah.
that's kind of where I'm at.
Yeah, you mentioned the russet can the route through hate to do the chests,
Yeah.
camping out those chests. And that's one of those camps I really like, because once you get the kind of efficient at it, you can do like 2 quick rounds of it, and then you're waiting on your charge, and it actually like lets me get something else done. Like, so it's a great dad camp for me
Right.
overall, right? It's like I can come in, do 2 rounds of it, go take care of something. Come in, do 2 rounds of it, go take care of something. And I can often play depending on what's going on. I can play during my workday sometimes, and those are the kind of things I need that are like 10-minute or 15-minute runs that can get something done, and then I can focus on work a little bit.
Yeah.
So actually, I really liked that camp too, and there's a lot of other ones like that. For leveling, I'm finding the entry, like the whole beginning of Mistmore, is great for doing like a 10 or 15-minute leveling run, and then just resetting going back to the beginning of your instance, let it respawn, and then just keep running that again. And I'm spending a lot of time in Mistmore right now, just leveling up. As long as you're something that can handle a crowd of mobs, because it's never a 1 or 2 pull, it's always a 10 pull.
Yeah.
Um, but it's actually like that's the kind of camp I always look for that I can do during the day or when I'm busy, if I want to play in the background a little bit.
Right
A
on.
side note from that as well is for the people who are doing it in during their playing time, is that luckily for us, raid instances don't take charges, so you can do a couple of those, and then you're right
Mm.
there. You can jump in and do the any raid while you're waiting for those charges to load back up.
All right, awesome. Well, let's get to our next question here. So, what are you doing now? I mean, we know that we talked about some of the end 50s content that was mostly raid focused and other things, but what other things are you doing now, kind of at the end that you've got your trio to 50? Have you started a new trio? Are you just focusing on AAs? Are you what are some of the things that you're doing now?
What aren't I
Well,
doing, man? That's how I feel.
yeah.
Tons of
uh,
stuff, a little bit of everything. Like, we've been bouncing back and forth, trying to do the completionist thing, but I'm not very good at like compartmentalizing things. I'm just like biting a little bit here, a little bit there,
mm,
keeping it fresh though. Like, I'm working on Sky, but I'm also working on AAs, but I'm also farming moats, but I'm also trying to level up classes. So just a little bit of everything. I've leveled up some classes and just playing the game, man. It's a lot of fun. It's having a lot of fun. But a little bit of everything. I'm working on Sky. I'm getting down there. I think I got about 10 or a dozen items I need left, but based off of Foul Rash's, his whole journey, Even though you only have that much left, you got to get them to drop, right? So you might only be halfway.
Right.
Like, oh man, I was farming the bird. I forget his name, but the bird on the bird island, the boss that you could just respawn over and over and over. And I sat there just respawning him over and over and over, and he just does not want to drop something of use. I know Slayheim has had his journey with Sky as well, but just a little bit of everything is the answer.
Yeah, I got to the point where I was doing that. Like Sigil said, I would just use up my charge, start up a Sky instance and invis myself, go all the way to the last island, kill the guy, come back out, do the same thing, kill the guy. And I just got to the point where I'm just sniping whatever boss I need for my items. But I'm going to take a step back now that I have that. And so actually, my time's kind of limited during the week. And for me, it's so much fun. It's the perfect balance. I have just enough time to do like Yale, Nagy, Vox, Interruck, Khazak Thul, but only up to, I'm saying like maybe D2, D3 Khazak Thul is my sweet spot. And then before you know it, the week kind of resets. So for me, I think I'm gonna shift to farming mode so I can actually level up my weapon. It's kind of where I'm at.
Nice.
So I'm just now
Nice.
gonna get into that hate farm that you sort of popularized classic. I haven't got a chance to do that. And I also need to. The only trio that I think I'm gonna level is I want to get a druid and a wizard so I can get the ports. I think just for convenience. I think I'm gonna mostly focus on my trio and just kind of grind AA and farm some motes there.
I'm going to bounce off that. So that's kind of what I've been doing is I've been doing a little bit of everything like classic, but focusing on a few particular routes. One of them was I did start a new trio, and the way that I'm planning on doing my trios is I'm not adding two in. I'm only adding one, and I'm doing that to create
Oh,
longevity for me in the game. So it's an artificial way of lengthening the game for me, but I'm just taking. So for example, I added a druid and I rotated my monk out and I kept the Shadow Knight and the Shaman, and then I added the Druid in. And one, I did it because I wanted the ports. I was just tired of like not being able to like having to utilize like gate in Origin and then running everywhere. I was like, man,
yeah.
forget this. So I rotated the Druid in to get the ports. But then I was like, let's just finish this thing out and go to the end. And Druid is not my favorite class. So I was like, let's just get it out of the way and do it first. It's a very good utility class, but it just doesn't resonate with me. So I've done that one. I'm currently at 49 on that trio. So I've almost got that capped out, and I'm sitting in hate right now, just farming hate with the russet route on D4 or D2, whatever I feel like doing, and just burning through that to get to level 50. So that was one of the things I've been doing. The other is I started a challenge run. So I'm doing a challenge run over on the Agok server now, which is I'm calling my EverQuest Legends solo run. And I'm trying to do the whole run as a solo self-found and as a single class. So I'm not engaging with I'm still a tri-class, but I'm not using any of the spells or abilities or whatever that are coming from those other two classes. So I can only use the abilities from the Necromancer. And that's just me hearkening back to my my first run on Quarm, my solo self-found Necromancer run on Quarm. Which yes, I know I haven't finished it. I'm one more video left to do that. But so that's kind of the two main things I'm working on. And the last thing would be I'm still cooking guides. So I've got a few guides coming out. Probably by the time you see this, there probably is a new guide that'll be on my channel. And then if anyone knows my content, you'd know I have these race unlock guides that I put out that a lot of people reference and use. And I'm planning on building a final kind of definitive guide to just do all the races. And I think that'll be a fun one to do. But it's going to take a ton of work to really optimize that whole run. So those are the things rolling around in my head about what I'm trying to do now or what I'm planning for in the next month, essentially. And that's not counting any new content that comes out in the next few patches. I don't even know what that'll do to change how I play. But for now, those are my plans.
Yeah, that's good stuff.
Beautiful.
So um, right now my main focus is probably leveling up my second trio, and much like what you said about only adding one class at a time, that is my intention. I went with two this time because I actually want this trio to be my new main character. So I want the Paladin Monk Bard to kind of take over as my main. And after that, I'll probably just add one at a time. I'm interested in trying out Enchanter. I mean, that's like, isn't that the super meta build, Paladin, Monk, Enchanter, or
Yeah,
whatever
it
right
is.
now? I don't always know what's meta because I don't care that much. But I also want to try inserting the Monk into, like with Classics build, the Monk Necromancer Bard sounds interesting to try once I get the Monk up there. So for now, I'm going to be focusing on that. Like you, I did go back into a challenge series. So over on Ogok, I've got my Built Wrong series, my little Froglock guy. I rebooted that, so I leveled him back up to where I had gotten to in the pre-order beta, and I've been recording for that. I've been a bad YouTuber. I haven't put out a single video on EverQuest Legends since the game went live. So my channel has had 0 videos on EverQuest Legends. I hit such a busy spot in my life that I just wanted to play the game, enjoy the game, not worry about talking into the microphone and editing and all these things. But things are coming around, and I want to get that series going. So that's I've already got a bunch of stuff recorded for that. I just need to get that out the door. It's a lot of fun, that little series. But so I'll be leveling up that new setup, farming up AAs along the way as much as I can. I don't know what the most efficient way to do that is. Slay, you said you're going to be farming AAs, so maybe I'll watch what you do, and if you figure out the best way, I'll copy what you do to get more of those unlocked. And beyond that, I think it's just a lot of making the rounds and gearing up, and it's just starting to unlock things. I like the race unlocks. I know you made those guides, Tane, and that you're gonna work, like you said, work on a kind of one consolidated guide for all of them. Those have been super helpful to unlock some races. So I've unlocked several races now. That's fun. I think I'm kind of doing what Classic said though, and just bouncing all over the place. Like I'll log on and be like, you know what, I'm gonna unlock barbarians today, and that's what I do today. Or hey, I'm gonna go, whatever it is, farm chests and hate. Okay, that's what I'm doing today. I don't really have that big of a plan. I'm just really enjoying the game overall. I think the challenge modes will have a lot more of a plan involved with them, versus my main, which is just kind of me meandering around the world doing things. So I do want to do a challenge mode. I mentioned this earlier in chat, but I want to do a challenge mode where I take my character that's all geared up with all of his AAs, so my main, and drop back down to level 10 with add in some class to do it, and never leave some city, and just be this dark menace in the city that is just killing civilians and shopkeepers and trainers all the way to level 50, and see if I can pull it off. It's kind of an evil character run, I suppose, a bad guy run.
You are a madman.
That's amazing.
That'd be tough. I think they nerfed the XP on guards and stuff.
Yeah, I have to look. So I looked at level ranges just to see that, you need a city where the whole level range is covered. Otherwise, you run up against a wall. And one of them that will work is Akanon. So I think the gnomes, I might be coming for you, gnomes. We'll see.
But that's
We'll see
right. That's on point
together
for Sigil, though. It doesn't like gnomes
That's
already.
Yeah.
So, like,
It's a little bit poetic that they have the full level range. There is a spot where I think I have to camp one guy for like 3 levels, but I think it's possible. Poor guy, but yeah.
Are you going to call the series Gnome Kicker or something? Like, I don't know what.
Maybe. Yeah. Gnome Slayer, Gnome
Classic
Kicker.
No mercy.
No mercy. Yeah.
There you go.
So we'll see. It doesn't work for every city, because something like Grob doesn't have like a newbie area built into it if you were going to stay in that one zone. I mean, obviously it has one attached in Ithul, but yeah, I'm very interested in that now that when I typed that up earlier and started really thinking about it, I may end up with a second challenge series running at the same time.
Kinos would be interesting with the sewers.
Yeah, just real quick, just to touch on what you said, Sigil, it's amazing when a game can have this effect on you where you just like, you don't care about content, like you just want to play. I kind of have that too. In a way, I kind of did it through streaming, but like, yeah, all I wanted to do the last few weeks was just play the game,
Yep.
That's great.
Just get in there.
And speaking of, actually,
I
you
haven't
said
yet.
Slay. Sorry, Classic. I was just going to really quick about Slay's thing. He was saying like how the game can, like EQL in particular, changes the way we play it and we think about it. And one of the things that has changed the way I've been thinking about the game is like on any other version of EverQuest, like P99 or Quorum, faction can be a problem, right? Like faction is an issue where it's like if you tank a faction, you're like, good gracious, now I've got to like how long is it going to be for me to farm that faction back up? I just don't feel that pressure on EQL at all because I'm like, oh, I know how to farm this quickly because of like mass hand-ins, because of like where you get 5 faction per kill off of some mob in a dungeon. And I love that, where I'm like, cool, I can just go tank my faction over here working on this quest or this whatever this thing is. And then I can be like, cool, I'll just go build it back up really quick over here. So I mean, some people might say, I've seen some people say in some of my even my race unlock guides, like, hey, like I don't think they, that they shouldn't have done that and made it so it's 5 everywhere. It should be a nice long grind, something you work at. I'm like, I can understand that, but this is an accelerated EverQuest, and I'm glad that that's in place. Anyway, go ahead, Classic.
Yeah, it's not your daddy's EverQuest or whatever. It's definitely, everything is accelerated, and like in normal EverQuest, some people are gonna seek out, like Reckitt's the type, right, to seek out getting good faction with all these different places he shouldn't be. And some people are going to go and do that, but on here you actually have a reason to do that, to unlock things. So it's just much more common here. So I think it's good that it's not going to take you so long to do it, because you actually need to / want to do it. I was just going to say, like, I haven't done any challenges yet, and I don't think I will until, I don't know. I'm in this mood right now where, like we said, I want to like 100% stuff, or at least like unlock all the classes, all the primary classes, all the races, all this kind of stuff. And that's like my goal right now. And that's like, I have horse blinders on. I just want to get that stuff done. And then I think once that starts waning, or I start feeling like I'm getting towards the end of that, that's when I'll open up the can of doing some sort of challenge run or something. I got some ideas that have bounced around, but I'm kind of focused on this right now, and I don't want to like screw up my momentum. But as for like the bouncing around and doing things, if I were to like Foul Rash, if I were to just knock out Sky like he did, that would cook me, man. Like if I sat there and I did that until every last item, and then I was like, finally, I
100%.
finished. Like I would, I might take a break and not come back. I just don't know. I can't do that. So I have to pace myself, and so that really gets me bouncing around and all that. But
Throw in
nonetheless,
some variety, right? A little bit of variety keeps it, keeps it nice and fun.
Yeah, it's true. And actually, I want to add, so we're even on the eve of just like major changes where they might make it a little bit more reasonable to do that. And yeah, I mean, you can subject yourself to a grind like that, absolutely. But I want to ask you guys, and by the way, yeah, shout out to Foul Rash, world first. That's incredible. That's
Oh
gonna rage
yeah.
bait some people. But hey, so the achievements, I keep forgetting that there's a whole like list of achievements. I see people with like really interesting titles, Elf Slayer and things of that nature. Have you guys noticed any interesting titles worth getting or kind of aspiring to? I haven't really taken a deep dive in the achievements section. Is there anything cool that's kind of worth grinding for that you guys have noticed? Because I'm kind of with you, Classic. I don't have time to do a challenge run. I kind of want to just focus on like building my ultimate character, just really falling into that warrior, shaman, berserker kind of warlord fantasy. So I want to get AAs. I want to get everything plus 10. I just really want to have some fun with it. So I'm very curious if you guys have taken a deep dive into the achievement list for like some cool titles or anything like that.
Personally, myself,
You-
I haven't. But I know what that you get. I know how to get them. I always love to see a list of which ones are out there, because I know they're based off of killing mobs. If you kill 1,000 mobs of something, you usually get a title. I ended up
Mhm.
killing, I don't remember something. I remember getting it recently. I don't know what it was, but I got a title for something. I didn't put it on, but I was like, oh, look at that! I killed 1,000 of these things and I got a title. But I know there's some cool ones. But I don't know the full list, so I'd love to see a list of those.
Yeah, I'd have to dig that up.
1,000 gnomes, you say? Wonder if they get you.
Yeah.
Yeah, there you go.
Gnome Slayer.
I'll have to get whatever title that is with my with my evil
I saw
series I
Elf
want to do.
Slayer.
It's
So you
got to
might
be
be able to
Gnome
get Gnome
Slayer.
Slayer.
Yeah, it's got to be there.
I think I saw somebody have like the Nightmare, and I was like, dude, that's the coolest I've seen so
Ooh.
far. I think I could be wrong, but it
Dang.
was something like that, like the Nightmare or something like that. And I was like, when I saw it, and it might have been somebody in our guild, to be honest. I don't remember who linked it, but I was like, I think that's the coolest I've seen, if that's real.
So does it actually list the title if you look at if you haven't achieved it yet and you're just looking at the achievement window, does it list what titles they give in the achievement? If you click through? I'm actually not sure
I
about
don't
that.
know
Like
if it
I'd have to go
does.
look. Because I know once you have it, you can see what was awarded with it
Right.
for sure. But I've never checked on the unachieved one, whatever you want to call them, the ones you haven't achieved yet, the open achievements, if it actually lists that it comes up with a title, because that'd be interesting to kind of go through and see what's there. And I've never looked either. I'm with you, Slay. Like I see
Yeah.
some cool one or see some interesting ones out there, but I don't know what the whole list is either.
I haven't noticed
Yeah.
that either, but one thing is a lot of the stuff's just pulled from TLPs. So we can cheat
Mm.
and go look at like an existing TLP list. And most of that, like if it makes sense, it's probably in the game, like kill 1,000 elves and you get Elf Slayer. So we can maybe cheat a little bit and kind of know
Yeah.
some of them.
Yeah, I'd be very interested. I wonder if there's anything new that they kind of snuck in, like Toward Corruptor or, just something really cool. Because that's what I would aspire to. And that's going to be my next thing after I get my weapon to +10, I think.
Let us know
Ye-
down in the comments. What are
Yeah,
the
please.
Yeah.
what are the titles that y'all know about? Link a list or something. And what's the coolest?
Oh man, this guy YouTubes.
Yeah.
But yeah,
High
really,
mind.
like if you know, or if you know where to get like a list of them, that'd be awesome if anybody knows. Yeah, like the Corruptor would be a cool title, right? You finish the Torrid Corruptor and you just get the Corruptor as
You-
your title.
So I
That'd
do
be
have an
neat.
answer for you on that. You do get a title for doing the Toward Corruptor, but there was kind of a bug where it didn't grant it. So I don't like currently I did the Toward Corruptor and I do not have that title, but I think they're fixing that in one of these future patches where it's going to grant it properly. So I don't even know what it is because I haven't seen it
Oh.
yet.
Mm.
But yeah,
Do some people have it, or does everybody not get it?
I don't know. I'm not sure. I haven't seen it, or if I've seen it, I didn't know that that's what it's for. But yeah, I'm
Also,
sure
let us know that down in the comments.
please, yeah, I'm sure some of y'all know that. Please. So, all right, guys, let's move on to the next question here. This is, of course, one of our polarizing questions, which has received a lot of love and hate. I think over the last few episodes and in the EQ community in general. That is the cash shop. We're back at it again. Have you utilized the cash shop, and what have you done with it if you have? And of course, in that is, if you haven't, what are you going to in the future? I've got a few other things I'll throw in while we're talking. So go ahead.
Mine's quick. No, I haven't. No, I don't plan on it. I think that might just be it. I don't have it and I don't plan on it. I don't feel it's necessary. Obviously, it can make your life easier. You can, be a little willy-nilly, a little more willy-nilly with your bags and your space and everything. But I don't think it's necessary, and so I've just decided not to.
All right. I guess I'll go next. I
Go
kind of
ahead,
feel like
Slay.
I'm an outlier here, but I did indulge in the cash shop. I'll be honest. I went full on Whaleheim. I wanted to support Game John. I wanted to support Secrets. So I did 2 rounds of it because they have it tiered with the Iridium. So there's 2 rounds. I went the max Iridium for like $100 or whatever it was, and then I later went on to treat myself again to another 100. So I spent about $200 plus or minus whatever the taxes and change and whatnot is. And so I bought the 4 inventory slots at the end there, and then I like everything to be symmetrical, so I bought 2 of those satchels. I think they're like 80% weight reduction, and they have like 24 slots. So I got 2 of those, and then I got some storage space, and then I got the AA potions. I don't have some time as much. Classic has blazed through me in AAs. It's not that it's a race, but and by the way, like I will say, yeah, you absolutely don't need to engage with the cash shop. I just wanted to treat myself. I knew that this was the build that I was going to be playing. I knew that I was going to be exploring. So I just wanted some inventory space, some bag space. I know this is a judgment-free zone, but yeah, I think I don't think I will put some further unless I don't know. I'm not interested in like the boar mount and stuff like that, like kind of cosmetics. That's not really my thing. I just wanted some convenience there. So yeah, about $200 for me.
Jealousy of
Yeah,
backspace.
I made the joke the other day, like thinking about the cash shop, and it's I made the joke that I'm not 12 years old. I don't have an allowance. I can buy what I want. So buy what you want. Like if it's fun for you. The only reason I haven't really done it is because I kind of wanted to see, like, truthfully, did anything push me towards, like, did I need to get something? Was it like, oh man, I use an example, like a different game, but Elder Scrolls Online. If you've ever played Elder Scrolls Online, if you don't pay the monthly subscription fee, you don't get the unlimited crafting bag that comes with that subscription. And that is the only single thing in that game that is like, if you don't have that, all you're doing is constantly running to the bank and putting stuff in the bank if you want to do crafting, or you can just dump all of it. But if you have the unlimited one, it feels like it's so necessary to even enjoy the game. And I wanted to see if EQL had something like that, something that I butted up against playing through, or playing for a while, that was like, God, they made this one thing so ridiculous, and I haven't found that at all. Much like Classic, like I haven't found the need to go to the cash shop. I have zero against it, nothing against it. If you want to buy stuff, if you've bought stuff, if that's what you want to do, the only thing I see in there right now that jumps out to me, like I will spend money on this at some point, is the ornamentation tokens. If there's no other way to get those in game, I will eventually want to go full on Fashion Quest here, and have my weapon appearances to be exactly what I want, or armor appearances to be exactly what I want. So somewhere down the road, I'll probably drop some money on all of that. But if you've got the money and you want to spend it, it's your money to spend. I'm just glad that I didn't run up against anything that was like, you need this to even enjoy the game. I think that's the right way to do a cash shop, right? Make it so it's not
Yeah.
needed. It's just some quality of life improvements, like you're saying, some more inventory space, some better bags. But I've been operating without it so far, with no issues. And then I think mounts are a great thing for cash shops. Like, throw mounts in there, let people buy cool skins all day. I did find it neat that they're like the boar mount is like actually on the splash screen for EverQuest Legends. There's actually someone, I think a dwarf or something, riding the boar mount, and I was like, oh, that's cool. If that's the first one they came out with, was actually on their splash screen. But yeah, I actually haven't even ridden a mount yet in EverQuest Legends, because I haven't been set up with a class to do it, and I've got bard speed, so I'm just zipping all over the place anyway.
Yeah, I haven't either. And yeah, can I just say there's nothing in the game that's kind of prompting you to do it. You don't have to engage with it. It's just kind of there. There's no like pop-ups or anything. It's very like non-intrusive, I gotta say. And if you know what you're doing, you can get the dragon boxes or the dragon like bags, which are in fact they're better because they're actually 100% weight reduction. So yeah, if you really know what you're doing, all that stuff is gonna fill up in no time. If you're doing Nagi, Vox, all that stuff. That's all
Mhm.
I want to say on that.
Yeah, so for me on the cash shop, I haven't engaged with it. I haven't spent any money on it yet, but I'm not opposed to it. I just nothing's stood out to me yet, or haven't had a need, because I think I have a very similar perspective that Sigil has on it, where I'm not afraid to spend on it, and if something grabs my eye that's like a convenience, then that it was like becoming painful, then I would consider doing something for that. But I'm a little crazy when it comes to inventory management, so I'm always like hyper making sure everything is where it's supposed to go in my bank, and making sure everything's merged, and like I spread it across all the different horde, the dragon horde, in my equipment and my augmentations, and I'm really, really particular how I set it up. So right now I don't need anything, and I don't even have my bank maxed out with like 10 slot bags yet. They're still all mostly 8 slot bags. So I know I have room to grow there. So I don't feel a need to do that. And plus, once you hit 50, you get a boost into a bunch of different things. You get a bunch of you get that. I can't remember what they call it, like full potential, I think is the name of the AA. You get auto granted. And it gives you a bunch of extra slots
Mhm.
and stuff for your like augmentations and equipment and things like that. And I have not hit the wall on any of those things yet. And I've collected a lot. Now, given I haven't spent a lot of time in Sky, which I could see that being a place where you could hit the wall. After seeing what Falrash posted, he filled his entire bank with all of those items, and I thought, man, that would set me off a little bit. Um, but he was trying to do it all
Yes,
at once, you know.
I gotta say, I did the
Mhm.
same thing. I filled out my bags with Sky items. Like
There
literally
you
every
go.
single bag has Sky items in it, so I
Mhm.
feel the pain.
Yeah.
But please continue.
So I think the one thing that may trip me up and say, "Oh, that this is what I wanna do," is when they start adding, you know, um, specific ornamentations in the game. I'm sorry, in the shop that you can buy, like a cool looking robe or a cool looking hat or a cool looking like man, that's so even though it's like maybe it's even an appearance of a weapon that doesn't currently exist in the game, that kind of stuff grabs me. Um, I like that. I like I was with Sigil, I was really hoping there might be some ornamentation tokens to unlock in the game. That would be super
Yeah.
cool. I haven't found that anywhere, and I haven't heard of that anywhere. So if that, basically by the time I think we get to Kunark, we start getting some of the really cool looking stuff in Kunark, especially like epics and stuff. That would probably tip me over the top to say, "Oh man, you know what? That Ranger epic, it looks so hot," or that Warrior epic. I want that looking on all my stuff. That would be something that might tip me over. But nope, haven't engaged with it yet. But I'm not opposed to doing it. Oh, and mounts are not usually my thing, so I won't probably buy a mount unless Game John, if you're listening, you'll get me to spend my money if you make a B mount. That will get me in about a moment. And World of Warcraft figured that one out because they did B mounts. Yeah. So
I'm gonna touch back on that.
Yeah.
That I would love to give back to these devs because I've played P99 so many hours without giving them anything, and I played Quorum so many hours without giving them anything, and both of those individuals are involved in the creation of this game. So I would like to give back one way or another, but I would just like personally to take a different route, I guess, because I want it. I would like it to go directly to them somehow, or the whole team. That'd be cool. But I know like some of it's probably going to Daybreak. But anyways, I don't know. That's like a random thing to say. But another thing that I know Daybreak has done with the TLPs and their cash shop is they've done like armor dyes and stuff. So I wonder if that's going to make its way over eventually. I don't know if it's like too early for that, and we got to wait, for some expansions to come out before they start doing something like that, where you could just dye like it looks best on like plate and leather. I feel like is
Oh,
where
yeah.
you could just change the color, but they would sell dyes on there, exclusive colors and stuff, and like a seasonal stuff like that. And going back to what Slayheim had brought up earlier about pop-ups and weird stuff like that, again with the TLPs and Daybreak, if you're not like part of the monthly Daybreak subscriber and you're playing on like the free to play servers or whatever, they will like every time you log in, they throw it in your face. Like every like 15 minutes that go by, they like pop up in your face. When you log out, it opens your web browser and pulls up the shop. I mean, like it's
Oh,
actually
man.
pretty crazy.
Oh, wow. Okay.
So we're not getting any of that. So
Yeah.
kudos.
Okay, let's move on to the next question. This one, I think we almost even answered this one a bit, but I wouldn't mind talking about a little more. Was if any of us have experienced burnout in any way with the game, or if you haven't, what are you doing to mitigate potential burnout as well? So, what do you think?
So I said earlier, there's no timer, right? We're not up against a timer where we're going to run out of beta or something like that. And for me, it's been a really slow start to get going in the game overall. And I feel like I have so much more to do. So no real burnout here at all. But as I kind of sat here with that thought, as we move towards October, we were talking about this a little earlier before the podcast. There are several game releases or EAs that are coming out that we all kind of want to try out or spend some time in. And so what I imagine happening is that I go kind of hard for the next month or so, and get most of the things done I want to get done in EQL to where I'm kind of I guess what you would call raid logging in other games, but doing a little bit of this and that, but mostly waiting on Kunark, and I'll be spending a little bit of time in other games after that. So I think it'll spread out my playtime enough that I'm not going to really run up against any kind of burnout. Plus, I would say that if you're someone who's played MMORPGs for a really long time and not just coming back to them now, you're already probably the type of personality that's going to take a little bit more to burn out in a game like this where you can do a lot of different things, and it's not you don't get down to doing the same 3 bosses every night for months, or every once a week for months, like you do with a lot of other games, and you're waiting on content patches. So I feel like it lends itself to doing a lot of different things right now.
Yeah. Yeah, it'll be interesting to see kind of how it all plays out. But for me, yeah, I'm definitely not close to burning out anytime soon. I'm really enjoying it. I don't know if you guys are familiar with Final Fantasy 14, but they kind of have this system where you kind of go through weeklies and stuff. And to me, it feels that way. Like I can do, hate and fear and sky and just kind of go through these iconic things of EverQuest and just challenge myself and my build and see what I'm capable of, see if I can do it at the highest difficulties and see what loot I get and modes. And to me that's fun. So I'm really enjoying that loop. But that being said, sometimes I'm like, okay, well this is pretty much the loop. This is it. But something just keeps me coming back. It's just so much fun to log in and grind a little bit. And yeah, I'm really enjoying it a lot. And I always say this, it's a perfect companion piece to I guess truer kind of classic long grindy MMORPGs. You can have EQL on as your side piece. Just log in, get your stuff done, get your weeklies like raid log, like you said, Sigil, and still feel like you're accomplishing something. Because yeah, even if you're not playing that much because you're dedicated to another game, you can still log in, get your 3 modes, like power up your gear, and still feel like you're achieving something. That's what I gotta say there.
If I want to jump in on this, the burnout thing. So I am definitely a player who can experience burnout. I have in many games that I've played, even in MMOs. And usually results it because I've gone too hard. If I just go too hard over a short period of time, it usually catches me and I get caught and I'm gone. Happens to me on WoW a lot when I would play that. I played WoW for many, 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 many years, but I would hit patches where I just could not log in anymore. And I want to relate it to a question I'm going to ask you guys that I feel maybe is related to at least why I experience it and maybe why other people do too. But I'll get to that in just a minute. And what I've realized, even in playing this, is that it seems like EQ players, especially the ones that are playing now, they have a different level of burnout than most other players. And what example for me would be like Falrash. I remember when he was doing the Sky stuff, I asked him specifically, I'm like, dude, you're gonna quit after you finish it. And he's like, no way, there's so much to do. And I was like, oh right. Like he knows how to handle that kind of experience. For him, he's okay with it. He's okay with like going hard. Classic was like, no man, I couldn't do that. It's like everyone's got their different level of what kind of burnout will tip you over the edge. And I think we've got enough understanding like, okay, I'm not gonna touch that system because it would be really bad for me if I if I go engage with that. Um and so for me, it's been how I'm dealing with it is spreading myself out across a lot of different things. So I think if I was doing like Slayheim said, earlier that he's like, I'm really wanting to lean into my character and make it the best it can possibly be. And I'm not interested in another trio right now, or maybe another, like a challenge mode. He's like, I just want to make my guy the best. If I did that, that would cause burnout for me because it would be like me focusing on only one thing and going so hard on that one thing that I would just be like, I don't want to do anything else now. So my way of doing it is just doing a lot of different things. Maybe it's like an attention span thing, but I'm like, I've gotta do a little here and work on a guide here and do a challenge here. And maybe it seems like I'm doing a lot, but I'm trying just doing a little bit in each of those areas. And that's helping me mitigate any sort of burnout that I might experience. So yeah, that's kind of my perspective on it. But I wanted to ask a question of you guys was I think, at least for me, what I know looking back on my WoW experiences and burning out from that, and this is going to kind of go off of what Slay just said, was FOMO. I really feel that there's very, very little FOMO in the game. And if you don't know what FOMO is, it's fear of missing out. And and WoW is really, really good at making people feel heavy, heavy FOMO in World of Warcraft. They tangle that carrot really hard and want you to be in doing the dailies and the weeklies, and you're missing this, you're missing. You feel really left behind if you don't. And I felt with, at least so far with EQL, I haven't felt that sense of FOMO, which has relaxed me in playing it. So I can just get in there and do it whatever I want and not be like, oh, if I don't go do this, I'm gonna miss out. I just, I'm gonna be left behind. I just don't feel that. Um, and that's been very, very good to me. The only thing I mentioned, the only thing I think I mentioned this when I was talking with the boys earlier was the only thing that feels like it's got a little bit of FOMO attached is those void touch modes. Just because it's like you got to get them, you want to spend them, you don't want to miss them. It's the only thing I felt that has any sense of FOMO to it, and it doesn't feel like heavy FOMO at all. It's just like, okay, it takes you like, oh, maybe 20 minutes, 30 minutes solo if you want to go get them real quick and grab them and then throw them into something, right? But other than that, so I mean, what do you guys think about the like the FOMO side of this? Is that what we would say contributes to like not burning out, is not having that sense of FOMO, or is that not really FOMO has never affected you in other MMOs?
Um, I'll I'll try to merge this all, but like I'm not experiencing burnout either. I think I've played too much, probably. But somehow I haven't experienced burnout. I think part of it is there's a lot of different things to do, and I'm like Skeletane, where I'm trying to do a bunch of different things at once, like we talked about earlier, and that's been helping me. I did do like I've brought this up before, but I did do like the Grand Marshal grind pre-nerf in WoW, and that burned me out so hard that I just quit playing, and I don't even know if I played again regular WoW after that. And it's just too much. And so I think, like Sigil was saying, also, or maybe it was Skeleton. I'm mixing it up, but like you have your limits, and you got to know your limit. Maybe think it was Skeleton, where like Falrash knows that he can handle that kind of a grind, and I know that I can't handle that kind of a grind all at once. I need to take it piece by piece, week by week. Um, I feel like I've played an absolute crap load and like way more than I should, but I haven't burnt out, which is good. And then another thing I wanted to touch on is like right now, I've been playing, and we've all been playing pretty much Project Quorum for a lot. So Birdwalk over to Project Quorum, but they've been stuck in Luckland for like a year almost at this point, because there was like the pre-patch and then the raids came out and so on and so forth. And I have burned out. Like I've burned out on Luckland, or on like Luckland raiding. And so I'm hoping that a server like this will move fast enough and be like a side piece, like Slay said, to where you can jump out and jump back in and keep things going and stuff like that. Because like a year kind of timeline I have figured out is like it's a little too much. I need to move on at some point, and EQL honestly has helped out with that. I can step aside from Quorum for like a month or so and get down on some EQL. As for the FOMO, I think going back to Quorum, the lead dev of Quorum Secrets is also in a lot of control over here, being in the head of Game John and all of that. And what we've learned from her in the past is that she's very anti FOMO as well, and so I think a lot of that influence has come over into EQL. And you see a lot of these things like in Quorum, where they don't remove like legacy items, like on P99. They do it very very by the book with the patches, like on this day, this many days after the last patch, this is removed, so on and so forth. And there's the FOMO, right? But that's how it was, so that's how they do it. But on Quorum, it's like we're just going to leave that in forever, and if you start playing a year later, you can still go back and get a monostone or some variation or what have you. And then like with the experience stuff, where and I almost feel like I heard something about this as well, but right with the holidays, let me know, you guys add on to this, but when like they're going to do something for the holidays, say they do like bonus XP or bonus AA XP or something, say they do something like that for the holidays, Secrets has been known to not make it like you have to log in on the holiday weekend to do it, because you might be on holiday with your family or what have you. What they'll do is give you potions, and then you don't have the FOMO, hang out with your family on Christmas, come back the next day or 2 days later, you can get the potions and you can still get the benefit of the holiday experience. And so that's very anti FOMO as well. And I see that coming into here, led by Secrets and stuff like that. And I think I heard they had a dev thing the other day of a video, a stream, and I think they actually touched on that. Um, don't quote me on any of that, but I think they and let me know if you guys heard about it. But I think that they're leaning towards something that's not like you have to log in over a holiday weekend.
I
Yeah, I
love
love
that. I just
that.
wanted to add on real quick about the holiday thing. That feels so good to me. When you just be like, like with the Quorum is a perfect example with the XP potions. On there would be like XP potions on when the server opened for the first time, and then it was like the anniversary, right? Like, oh, we're gonna give you a few more pots on your thing, or go collect it from the priest of Discord. I love that, where it's not like, oh, you got to play on the weekend to get the XP bonus. It's like you can take it and go, and you can have your own weekend whenever you want. I think that's wonderful.
Yeah,
I
and I
hope that
mean,
comes.
and as we know from our Legends of Quarm series, if you create a character today, you get the accumulation of all of those potions, right? We've
Right.
got what
Right.
58 or 57
58.
charges, right? 58 charges of it. So even a couple of years after they started giving out those potions, you can still go get them. You get them when you start a character, so it's really cool. Yeah.
And that's from day one, right? So it's like it's almost as though you didn't miss anything. I love that. Great.
Yeah. And it is kind of unfortunate that they had to push out Lucklin early because of their whole agreement. But so it's stuck us in that expansion for a long time. So FOMO wise, answering the actual question that was asked, I'm not a big. I'm trying to think back. Like I think I used to get caught up in FOMO a lot in games. I always wanted to have the thing, whatever it was that was happening at that time. And I think I've kind of moved beyond it. And I honestly, I think it wasn't that long ago because I kind of stopped playing WoW. I guess, for about a year and a half. Um, hey, my name's Sigil. I'm a WoWaholic. It's been 18 months since I last logged in or whatever. But it's been a little while. But WoW really kind of strung me along with a lot of FOMO from season to season as it's gone into a seasonal game. And man, I was so happy to break free of that overall that I don't feel it too much in game. So if I miss something, I miss it. It's cool to see when other people have it. I never worry about someone having something that I can no longer get. I just think it's cool that they got it. It's like, well, if I'd been here, I would have gotten it. But I'm sure I was doing something awesome that day instead, right? Um, Although I think Classic, you mentioned that they would have like certain dyes or whatever in the TLP stores, and that some of them are seasonal, so they'd go away. Like that's the kind of thing that they could build that is like FOMO, that people will be like, oh, I can't get the purple until next summer now or whatever. That kind of thing. I can see it driving money, but yeah, for me, it's not a big driver anymore. But it has been in the past. I've definitely fallen prey to that in the past for sure.
If I could touch on that real quick before Slay goes, I just wanted to mention something that Skeletane touched on, which was the weekly thing being a form of FOMO. What's nice though is that it's weekly, right? It posted dailies because all of us who have played WoW, you got to get on and do your dailies. You got to do your daily chores and all that stuff. That can really, where you have a streak going where I've done my dailies for 60 days straight or whatever, that can get to you. But in the form of weeklies, that feels a lot better because you can be like, oh, I'll get to that on the weekend or on my day off or whenever I have some time.
Yeah, I love that.
Yeah, I mean, pretty much what Skeletane said. The only thing that I would get FOMO on, I'd just be hard on myself if I really miss out on the three like void touched potentials or whatever. I mean, if anything, at least get that. And I could be wrong, but just like leveling up an item the old fashioned way, to me, like, so I haven't found a moat higher than like +7. So you would have to just grind that item and get it to +10 without those. It would just be such a pain in the ass. So if anything, at least get that. That's really the only thing that I would consider FOMO. And the way they make it is, I mean, you don't have to do like Khazak Thul. I think Khazak Thul is the hardest of the bosses, I guess. Whereas like Yale is probably the easiest. So you could just do Yale like D0, 1, and 2 and just get it done in half an hour and move on. So yeah, I don't get any sense of FOMO at all. I think they've built it in a really convenient way.
It does need to be 3 different bosses, but you can just do 3 D0 bosses like Nagy and
Oh,
Vox.
yes, okay. That's right, that's right.
Yep. It's so easy, just really quick and easy. I love that we can do that. Just burn through the D zeros and just get them and be done. And it takes 30, 40 minutes. And it's over. And you can do it like you were saying, Classic. You can just do it anytime during the week. It's not like you have to do it on Tuesday on reset. You can do it on the weekend. It's great. It's a very light version, and it's very acceptable in my opinion. So awesome. All right, let's move on. I think that was a great conversation. And big one here. What update changes are you looking forward to? This is going to be a big one. I think we're going to have a lot to talk about here, and some of the things we've seen and heard. And Classic kind of mentioned it, maybe a dev stream, and things we can talk about in there. But what things are piquing your interest that you have heard or seen that may be coming in the near future or even in the far future?
Biggest
Wow,
one's
you
going to be the
guys.
dungeon.
Oh, go ahead, Classic.
I was just going to say the biggest one is going to be the dungeon. I think that's the biggest one I'm looking forward to.
Yeah, for me, I mean, I just want to see how some of the balance changes work out with Warrior and Berserker. If I'm not mistaken, I think in the recent notes they said that they were going to look into possibly Frenzy, Rampage, how all that stuff works. I told you guys I would report back to you, and I'll be honest, I'm not blown away by Rampage. It's just a button that's there sometimes that I hit. It's not really. It's not really blowing me away like I was hoping it would as far as damage goes, especially when I saw what you could do with the Bard there, Classic earlier. But yeah, I mean the dungeon changes I think would be just really cool. Like we'll get to that later, but the Rujarkian Hills, this open world zone, maybe like some updated loot and exaltations that you could possibly get because the game is solved, it's optimized. Once you pretty much know what loot you're gonna get and what zone it's in, there's no reason to go to some of these other zones.
Make a good point, Slay. I want to talk about, which was what you just ended with there was, you know, once you've kind of capped everything out, that you don't feel that need to go back and want to engage with some of those zones, even the revamps too. Like we had the was it Mistmore revamp, right? Did we just have that one?
hmm
And I haven't even gone back to look at it because I don't feel a need to. So I'm like, man, I got the stuff I wanted. If I go back, I'm going to look for like an exaltation that maybe I can strip off of something and utilize it. And I think, for me, that can be a challenge for most people that are like, well, I don't want to run another character, and I have all the best gear. I'm just going to run my twink stuff and do that. And I think that's where, for me, the challenge run lends itself. I like doing the challenge thing because I'm like, oh, if I start a whole new character on another server, then I get the chance to go and experience that dungeon as a new player, quote unquote new player, right? So I like that those are there and they're still doing them for that kind of gameplay. But I know that gameplay is not for everybody. But so I'm still looking forward to revamps. I love all the dungeon revamps. I can't wait till they get them all done. We talked about this on a previous episode, but and I'm looking forward to like the Rajarkian Hills. Was it Nectropos? I think that's the one maybe Classic was referring to.
Yeah.
And then the Nectropos one coming out. I think that's going to be really cool to see that because I've never experienced. I mean, that to me that's entirely new. Never experienced it. Never played EverQuest 2, so I have no idea what any of that is. Where they, at least they're pulling that from. So that I'm looking forward to that. I'd say the biggest thing I'm looking forward to that's like just sitting at the top of my head and I'm excited for beyond anything else is Kunark. And I know everyone else has talked about it and it's been beat to death. Everybody knows they're excited for it, but for me, I'm so pumped for the epics. That is like the thing I'm really waiting for because to be able to do all of them, not just one, and then have to like re-roll a character to do another. I get to do it all on a single character as long as I'm unlocking um, all those classes through Sky and everything else and working through that stuff. And I'm curious how that works. Maybe we need to have does it have to be your primary to unlock it? Does it have, can you do it as a trio? I don't know. But there's a lot there that I'm curious about, but that's my big one that I'm really looking forward to. So
Yeah,
I'm with you
absolutely.
on that.
That goes without saying, by the way. Sorry, Sigil,
Mhm.
just to jump in. It's
Mhm.
absolutely Kunark. Yeah, and we don't even need to mention it. It's going to be amazing. But yeah, please continue.
Yeah, I was gonna say it depends on how far you want to take this roadmap, but like in the coming months, I'm the same. I never experienced EverQuest 2 beyond like the first 2 hours of the game. I just played it very little when it first came out. Um, my guild kind of we moved from EverQuest 1 to EverQuest 2 and kind of broke up in the middle of the move, so we all just kind of phased out and went back to EverQuest 1 at the time. So, um, but I think for me the new dungeon, the new zone with Nectropos, those are pretty big. The thing that's got my mind going the most today is that in that dev stream, I think it was yesterday or today, whenever it was, they talked about new classes for EverQuest, and I kind of brought this up to the guys earlier. They didn't go into that at all, and the only thing they definitely said was no new classes by Kunark. They did say that in the dev stream, so it's not something that's coming anytime soon. But we have the quote unquote new classes in EverQuest already in EQL with the Beast Lord and the Berserker, and I'm interested to see what they do for something else new along the way. So I guess maybe not just that specific thing, but the idea that they can just go where they want with this game that doesn't have to perfectly follow the rules previously, right? So Kunark, even with Kunark, they mentioned, Kunark's going to come out. It's going to be similar to what you know, but it's going to change over time. So by the time we get to Velius, which they also confirm will be coming out, Kunark may look totally different than what you're used to, or the path through Kunark may be totally different than what you're used to. So totally excited to, one, experience Kunark, two, experience it maybe in a completely different way. Those are the exciting things for me.
So they do mention that, and that makes me wonder if New Cabalus, or wait, no, New Cebalus is like a hint towards some of the change of Kunark.
Yeah, it could
Like,
be.
what if they don't have Cabalus when we go to Kunark? What if Cabalus isn't a thing?
Oh, dang.
It's,
You know what I mean?
it's burned down or something, like it's destroyed, or who knows? Could be cool.
Yeah, or Cebalus is still. I don't know. What if Cebalus is still like it was of ancient times or something, and then who knows?
Well, they're clearly not afraid to time travel, right? So that would be, we've got like Nick Tropos, which is being that from the far past or the far future. I don't remember which, but
It's from the future, but they're putting it in as current day.
Right. So it's like maybe you're right that maybe they pull from the past and say, oh, well, now this empire is still in play in Kunark, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, I was going to see, just while we were talking, I jotted down on my notes on what your guys' thoughts on Kunark could be. Like, it would be very interesting if they explore like some kind of alternate timeline. Such a huge fan of the lore of Kunark. There's so many different things that they could do, and it'll be exciting. How do you guys feel about the maybe we get into it later, but maybe like a forced sort of reincarnation system once you get to Kunark, saying like, hey, there's like this evil energy here or some kind of magic. You're gonna have to reincarnate in order to enter this area, and maybe they could have some kind of landing zone right there in Field of Bone where the other races arrived or whatever, and just kind of go from there. But just curious, I mean, they could do so much, they could do so much.
That would be really exciting.
Yeah, because you have all the zone, right? Kunark has all the zones to level fully, so it could be really interesting.
Or maybe it gives you the option to, right? You can be like, hey, you want to reincarnate? Like because they were talking about, we know that the reincarnation that they said is coming at the end of the year. So maybe they pair it with that somehow and make it like hey, experience Kunark fresh, and like just reincarnate at that time or something like that. That'd be cool.
Another sneaky thing that I'm kind of looking forward to is I think I heard rumblings of Permafrost getting a revamp soon. Heard rumblings of that, and that's a raid zone. So I think they want to make it make it more like Nagy's Lair, and that could be cool because we haven't seen a zone with like a raid boss in it. Not that who knows if they'll touch the boss's loot or not, but assuming let's say they don't touch the boss's loot, it's still pretty cool to see like a higher level zone getting the treatment because we've only seen basically the lower to mid tier zones.
Okay, so bouncing off of this question, we'll pose another question here that Slayheim provided, which is he's got some really great questions I wanted to cover. And this is the one we're going to talk about. I think it's still related to this in the future of the game, but let's talk about EQL and its staying power. Do we think it has staying power? Is it a game that's it's going to last through the years? Is it going to fall off? I'd love to discuss that. And Slayham, if you don't mind starting, you kind of pose this question. I'd love to hear your thoughts on it.
Yeah. Well, thank you. Yes. So I'm very curious what you guys think as well. It's something I've thought about for a while. I think if you take into account, and I don't know what their numbers are, like I don't know how successful the launch was from like a population standpoint, from like a monetary standpoint. I don't know. But is it worth to continue doing EverQuest in this way, where you have custom content, you go through the game at your own pace, multi-classing, whatever that's officially sanctioned. If so, and it's worth it to them, then absolutely, because there's so many. I mean, this is just the beginning. Like the classic experience is the world was very limited, I guess, until Kunark came along, and Velius, Luckland, Planes of Power, especially, and even beyond that. Like I know there's a different philosophy on, like, how far do you want to take EverQuest, but I mean, I've met people that have said, well, why don't they just do like every expansion like this and just like completely optimize it? I think this is a good way for that to happen. But I think it absolutely has staying power. Yeah, at least through Planes of Power, and that'll be several years. I mean, if they really take it there. So absolutely, yeah.
I'll jump in here.
Yeah, we
I
don't
do think the
know.
game has.
Yeah,
I
go.
do think it has. Sorry, Sigil. Um,
Sorry.
I think it has the staying power. I think if to me,
Mhm.
I look at indicators of I want to say hype, but the indicators of interest that were there. All of us are YouTubers. We get comments on our videos all the time, for about the game, and some of my favorite comments are which to me reveal the staying power, potential staying power, is when guys are like, I haven't touched EQ in 20 years, and this has caught my interest. So, what is it about this product that has caught your interest versus all the previous iterations that have already been out there? TLPs included, which do restarts, right? They just hasn't caught them, and I think we know some of the answers to that, but I think that's what I look at as a proof for it has staying power. Is you're bringing all these people back that have wanted to play the game in a particular form, and now they're experiencing in that form and enjoying it. I haven't heard anybody come on the comments after and say, "Yeah, I tried it and I hate it." Like I think that's far and few between that I've seen that, um, or heard that on any of our comments and people that have communicated with us. So
Yeah.
that's my metric. I'm sure there's many others, but that's the one that stands out to me as a staying power indicator.
Yeah. Yeah, I was you kind of said some of what I was thinking as well. One of the things that you see a lot with this game is a not maybe not overwhelmingly, but overall a very positive sentiment. I mean, more often what I see are people who are worried about the kind of the same thing we're talking about here, or that we've talked about briefly, is with the ability to move quickly through the game, is can they keep up the pace of development and putting out new things and keeping something new to do in front of people, to keep the game alive, right? um, and I think so far they're doing a decent job of putting out something every patch day. There's new stuff, there's something fixed, there's they're doing a pretty good job of that, so giving them the benefit of the doubt. I think as long as we can keep that positive sentiment and they can keep up with the development timeline, I see it lasting quite a long time. In fact, I have um, well, hold on. Is our next question, will it attract new players? If so, I'll save my next thing for that.
No,
But
you dive right into that. Go
that's in
for it.
this. Okay. So, one of the things that would give it some longevity is attracting new players, because we do have all these people who, like us, who have played EverQuest over the years many, many times in different ways, just like you were talking about, Tane. And a friend of mine, this is a very localized, X of one experience here, but a friend of mine who has never played EverQuest. Actually, that's not true. He played EverQuest in 2001 and got to level 7. So that's his whole EverQuest experience. That's it. Um, picked up EverQuest Legends after kind of watching all of our videos and all that. And he's been playing it. He's up to level 30 in EverQuest Legends right now, and he is just all in on this game. And he's never had any interest in playing any of Quarm, any of the TLPs, anything on EverQuest at all. But he says this feels so much more approachable than logging in, because he tried to come play with me on Quarm as well, and was just like, dude, there's just too much. I don't know anything. He's like, I opened the character sheet and I'm already lost. So, but having watched some videos on Legends, he's very interested in continuing on and playing. And and he's the type of guy that definitely won't slog through something he doesn't like, right? He'll just walk away from it, no problem. So it's exciting to me to just see someone I know who's very picky about that kind of thing be very interested and intrigued by EverQuest Legends. Even if he doesn't stick around forever, he's at least gonna level up a character all the way, and he seems pretty invested in it. So that gives me hope for attracting new players as well.
Yeah, I have so many thoughts about this. It's a loaded question, I feel like. Um, but the way I feel about this is kind of like an ARPG version of EverQuest. That's really how it
Mhm.
feels. And I play ARPGs, so the way that those go a lot of the time, we'll say like Path of Exile, Diablo, or big ones, but the way those go a lot of the times are ebbs and flows. And something comes out, and then there's like a lot to do, and then you kind of cool off for a little bit, and then just the ebb and the flow of it. To touch something on real quick before I get into that, to touch on what Skeletane had said about not really getting a lot of comments about people that hate it. I feel like there is no, like, nobody really has commented that they played it and they hate it. The only people that say they hate it are haven't even given it a shot, is what I'll say. Um, and that could have been me. Like, rewind back to THJ. I never played THJ because I looked at it and I was like, that's crazy and extreme, right? But I had already, for EQL, I'd already played both servers from like the main devs, like I pointed out earlier, and so I was willing to give it a shot. And it's to my understanding that it's much more tame than THJ got in its heyday. But anyways, aside from that, the staying power, I I firmly and truly believe that they just have to pump. Like, they have to pump, and because if they stop pumping, and which is almost like a literal analogy. Like in New York, don't they have pumps that they're pumping water out all the time? And if they stop, then it'll flood. Is that a real thing? S- So, anyways, but like I feel like they have to pump content out, because if the content shuts off and dries up quickly, then that can create a situation. With that being said, there's a lot now. So, like, I want to go back to what Sigil had said earlier, where he said, right now the game just came out and it feels reasonable to 100% it. It needs to get to a point to where it maybe doesn't feel reasonable, or it feels like a huge task. Because if we do achieve 100%ing it now, which I know won't be like the average player, uh, but let's say me, because I've played a lot, so I'll just use me as an example. If I do get all the sky stuff, if I do unlock all the primary classes, if I do unlock all the races, if I do unlock whatever deities there are to unlock, I get all the classes to 50. When say Kunart comes out, if they do bump it to 60, you still have to get everybody to 60. There's a bunch of epics to get and stuff like that. So I just feel like there always needs to be a lot added like that. There are some expansions that make you wonder, kind of like Velius, where and I know that they plan on changing it, and I know this is like in the future, but um, there's no epics in Velius. There's no level cap raise in Velius. Um, so on and so forth. So I kind of wonder if there's areas which they'll have to really dig in, and that's a good opportunity, I guess, for some custom content and stuff like that. And I think they actually did allude to that in the dev stream, like Sigil was talking
Mm.
about. So they have to pump. Do I believe that they can or will? I do. I think that they've proven that they're willing to pump and that they can. I would just like to see over the next few months, like I know nobody probably is interested in this, but like the sales call that they'll have at the end of the quarter or whatever. And it might take 2 quarters to really understand that, I guess, but and just kind of see, like you said, we're never going to get the numbers, the true numbers. So how much money's coming in? Is it enough to build out the team so that they can pump real hard? How many times did I say pump during this situation? But yeah, that's about it.
Take a shot each time you did.
Yeah,
I love the Cali slang. It's beautiful to me as a
pamp.
non-English speaker. It's great. Like the way you say things is it's amazing. I love it.
Awesome. Did everybody put their? I think everyone had their piece on that one, right?
Mhm.
Okay. Well, we'll continue
By
the
the way,
conversation.
classic.
Go ahead, Sigil.
Yeah, I just realized something I wanted to add. I had thought of it when you were saying it, and then I got lost in all the pumping. But when you were talking about THG being more over the top, I was going to comment in there real quick and say, do you know what the meta thing to do in THJ was though? It was to pump
Bard
up a
thing?
bard and hit them with Denon's Desperate Dirge.
Yeah.
So you're doing the THJ meta right now.
I'm getting that. That's why I feel like it's out of place. I'm getting a lot of comments that are like, "Well, this was in THJ, so that's just
Yeah.
normal." But
And it was
what we had leading up to this was, "Oh, this is so different than THJ. This isn't the
Yeah.
same as THJ. This is way more tame than THJ." Now suddenly the Bard thing comes out. Well, I guess it's been around forever or whatever, but it's suddenly, it's coming to light, I would say.
it's
And
similar,
suddenly the
yeah.
tune is changing, no pun intended, that suddenly it's just like, oh, well, that's just how it was in like THJ, so of course. But it's like, yeah, but this, like, we've been discussing for a few months now, this isn't THJ.
Yeah, THJ did have some other AA. I don't want to sit here and talk about THJ because it's dead and gone, but like it did have some other AAs that would pump up that damage as well. So it's not quite as good over here, but it's just funny to me that was like the meta in THJ and here now. Or not, it's not the meta now, but it's a thing you can do here too. In EQL.
It's always the Bard, It's always the Bard.
Freaking Bard.
Whatever
Bard's a pain.
iteration,
every time.
different EverQuest, same Bard.
Every EverQuest, every D&D table, it's always the Bard. Always
There
the
you go.
Bard.
So I mean, maybe we've already covered this, but we might as well bring it up. But where will we kill EQL be in 6 months? I mean, we did cover it. I'll just start it out here, but I don't think it's going anywhere. That's for sure. I think it's only up and up from here based on the stuff they're showing and the willingness. If we haven't really talked, we've been kind of talking a bit about their recent dev stream and some of the things they said. And with some of the things that they've been saying, it's like, okay, this is going to be different than we think. Which again, I get so excited about because it is. I was talking with Reckitt this week about this. And we were just going because we were talking about my challenge run, and we had talked about how what's nice about EQL is that we're finding new things in the game that were never there, such as Tord Corruptor, or other different. Now they're going to add zones that were never there. I love that because it creates this kind of Wild West experience where you have to discover new things, and it's not like we've always talked about how EQ is a solved game. We all know everything about it. Everybody knows every little jot and tittle, every piece of lore, and every quest to the nth degree. And just look at our comments in our videos. People love to tell us about go do this, go do that. You should check this out. And I love that they're like, hey, we're just going to completely mix it up and throw stuff that's never been there. That's what a great way to approach this. And they had said in their dev stream, like, hey, they had mentioned Velios is going to be coming, but it might be different. It might be not the same. Kunark's going to be different, and we had already talked about that. What's going to happen with the Ixar? Like, it poses so many interesting potential changes. And so, to me, because of those things being on the horizon and being potential, EQL is going to be, I think, if not better, in 6 months than it is today. So that's my quick opinion on that.
I had somebody comment on a video
absolutely.
today that was like, people still play EQ, LOL. And I was like, bro, it's actually kind of bigger than it's been in a long time. I was like, it reached your algorithm, and apparently you had no idea it's still around. So that's saying something.
Yep. Any other thoughts on that, guys?
I can't really think of anything to add to what you said. You pretty much covered it well. I think with all the custom design that they'll have going on, I think it's definitely going to be around, and I think it'll probably be in a pretty interesting place that may take us somewhere that we haven't seen in other versions of EverQuest. Well, it will take us somewhere we haven't seen in other versions of EverQuest. So,
right.
I was going to answer literally when you first said it and say Velios.
Yeah.
Where do I think it'll be in 6 months? But yeah, no, I think it's going to be really interesting, and I think it'll definitely still be around.
Yeah. Well, I mean, we're going to come back to kind of a question that Sigil started going into because he was talking about his X of one friend who, case study that shows that he thinks it's got, it has this, it's reaching people that maybe didn't even engage, but and that is, can it grow beyond the existing EQ audience? Obviously, the EQ audience is deep. It's niche. It's, it's not as big as WoW, but are we reaching out and hitting some of these people that are outside of it? And I'm going to start with just one example. And I had another YouTuber friend of mine who does not engage in this space whatsoever, and he's a much bigger YouTuber than any of us. Got 2 million subscribers, a huge guy. And he was seeing some of the content I've been putting out and was just kind of like, "Hey, great stuff." And it's hitting my algorithm. And then he was noticing some other streamers that he follows playing EQL. And it's like now it's crossing into these other areas that like a guy who doesn't play any MMOs, he doesn't do any content towards this at all. He's like, "Man, there's these streamers I watch on a regular basis that don't do any of this content. And he's playing EQL. Like, dude, this is big." So my experience is yes, I think it is already growing somewhat beyond the EQ audience. And as they add more, it's got to go further. So yeah, that's my thought.
Yeah. I was initially worried that, like, I mean, let's face it, if you've never played before, it can be kind of daunting to jump into EverQuest, as a completely new player. There's all these, like windows everywhere and all these different buttons, and it can be kind of intimidating. I understand that. But on the other hand, yeah, like, I think, yeah, whenever you guys linked it, Ethan from H3H3, they had talked about it on their pod. Someone left a comment that they're talking about it on NPR News. There's articles written about it. Yeah, it's definitely it has a much wider reach for sure than it might seem. So yeah, I definitely think it'll grow beyond the existing player base. There's a lot of people that are interested too from all these indie projects to see kind of what EverQuest was all about, and yeah, there's a lot of people kind of poking their head in that seem to really enjoy it, from what I can tell, and yeah, so the future is bright.
Yeah, I would say it is. I see a lot of comments of people who are playing EverQuest for the first time. People like we discussed earlier, people who are coming back who haven't played in 20 plus years. And to kind of go back to something Skeleton said earlier, was I think the accessibility with it being like solo friendly, and there's no FOMO, do everything on your own time, and you can still group with your friends and stuff like that. I think that'll like add to the longevity of it. Um, so I do think, it'll continue to, as long as I think there will always be that base. So I was talking about ebbs and flows earlier, and that will still happen, but I still think that there will just be that baseline of guys who are I'm going to say casual, a little casual about it. They're real busy in their lives, and they can come and keep it going. So I definitely think that, and I think a lot of those people are where the audience is extending to now. So like a lot of these people who haven't been playing EQ over the past 20 years, or maybe even MMOs in general over the past 20 years, who have come back into it now. I think a lot of those people are the ones who are coming back because, it's solo friendly. The FOMO kind of thing isn't there. Probably the type to engage in the cash shop as well, honestly. so it works out perfectly, I guess,
Right.
Um, but yeah, I think these last two questions that have been posed here do go hand in hand.
Yeah, once you get those people in, you gotta keep pumping out the content, right? Keep them interested, because you're gonna get people that haven't played EverQuest in a long time who are like, "Oh man, EverQuest! Oh, I remember that way back when. Like, I want to try it." And then you'll have people that are just exploring the game space. Got people that have never played EverQuest before, like my friend, or like some of the people we're seeing in comments, that you got to hook them in and keep them. So like when I talked to him, my friend, about like Rujarkian Hills, he's like, "Sure, sounds awesome." And I'm like, "Oh, but it's from EverQuest 2, or it's from Lost Dungeons of Norath." And he's like, "Okay." Like that means nothing to him, right? He just wants a cool new experience. Whereas we all kind of tie into the lore a little bit. He's getting into the lore a little bit, but like it doesn't mean anything to him that it's from EverQuest 2, or that there's never been a Nectropos in EverQuest, or these things don't, they aren't going to be the hook for some of these players that haven't played before, because they're meaningless names to them, right? So the experience itself has to be good. The actually going there has to be something cool.
Right.
And that's a good point. Like when I say they need to pump, I guess I should more specifically say they need to pump for those of us who have been playing EverQuest and are going to continue to play EverQuest, and we play a lot of EverQuest. The
Mhm.
casuals who are going to probably keep the game floating or keep it going during the ebbs is going to be, they're not the ones who are going to be unlocking everything and be like super like cutting edge or all caught up and everything. They're going to be chipping away at it over time, and so they're not really the ones that the pumping needs to be done for. It's for those of us who play too much, probably.
Right.
But they can keep us all going, right? That's the idea. Keep as many of us in as possible. So you
Yeah.
got to do a little of both.
All right, guys, do we have any additional bonus questions? We have reached the end of our main questions that we want to talk about and topics today. Do you have any final thoughts or things you want to pose to the team as a little surprise to us? Otherwise, we'll close this episode out.
Great launch. Kudos to the team. Everything was good. No complaints, really. They fixed problems pretty quickly. I think overall everybody's happy. And looking forward to some more. And if I need to take a break, not a big deal. Looking forward to the upcoming patches.
Yeah, same for me. Really happy with the game. Really, really enjoying my time in the game, and just looking forward to more.
Yeah, same here. No surprise questions today. I'm actually happy with my current pace of the game and happy how it's going. I'm apparently playing at a pace where all of you front runners are getting fixes put in just in time for me to enjoy them as I kind of make my way through gearing. So I'll keep riding that train if I can as well. With the the notable thing, and maybe we didn't talk about it much here, but the notable thing being they talked about bad luck protection for sky items, so you'll get an extra item towards your current trio, an extra piece of loot when you're there. So that's going to be very cool for people who are making that much more approachable. So yeah, just looking forward to changes like that. Just looks like they're on the lookout for ways they can make life better and keep putting out really cool content.
Sigil's in that position where he keeps seeing people, like, 'cause when you're driving on the road and you keep seeing people like zoom past you, and then you get up to the red light and you're right next to them again, and then you start going and they zoom past you again and they take off, and then you get to the next red light and then you're like, oh hey, it's you again. You're just like, what are you doing,
dude? That's a perfect description of what's happening right now.
Well, same thing. You guys are all said. It's looking good, looking forward. I'm excited for the future with it. Definitely not bored at all of the game. And every patch always gives me a little jolt of excitement, when we get to see those patch notes and say, oh, they're adding this. And I get most excited for the dumbest stuff, like little quality of life changes and things I'm working on. And, like the devs and their stream talked about affecting a race unlock for Halfling. That gets me stupidly excited. But that's little things like that I enjoy seeing them change to the game. And so, yeah, I'm looking forward to the future, more stuff. I would be fun if we had Reckitt in here. He'd be talking about all the crafted changes he'd love to see coming. But yeah, it's all good. So, well, I think with that, guys, we're going to close this out. And I think it's been a good pod, good conversations. And I think EQ Legends first month, big thumbs up. I think the Game John did a killer job, and the launch was, I think, a wild success. And the first month has looked nothing but good. So to me, I think that sets it up for, the next few months are going to be just as good. If you can get over that first hump, that first launch, bumps, and I think they navigated it well. They're gonna be successful. So thank you all for being here. Classic, Slayheim, Sigil, the whole Clickbait crew. Thanks for hanging out and being here. And thank you to the audience for watching. Hopefully you made it to the end. If you do, you are a legend. We know who you are. Thanks for hanging around. And we will see you on the next pod. And please make sure you put any thoughts you have about any of the questions we covered today in the comments. We will engage. We will reply. We will talk with you there. And we look forward to hearing from you. We will see you in the next podcast. Take care.